All right, so what's going on, everybody? You are now tuned in to the Proper Perspective Podcast. What we are here today to discuss, we're going to take a critical look at why voting third party is important, why reparations is important, and black replacement theory. I'm glad you tuned in. Please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to turn on notifications. Leave a comment, engagement, and let's get started. Why we should be supporting third-party candidates. How many third parties there are? I got 3 third parties on the screen. Party for Socialism and Liberation is one. Green Party, which is being represented by Jill Stein and Dr. Butch Ware. And the Warrior Party, which is being represented by Cornel West, Melina Abdullah. Why we should be supporting third-party candidates. Reparations is one of their top issues. A ceasefire at the very minimum regarding Gaza. Why we should be supporting third-party candidates. You have Republicans and Democrats that are ignoring reparations. You have Republicans and Democrats that are ignoring the genocide in Gaza. Anytime somebody starts talking about voting for the third party, when you say you want to vote for a third party, what do you hear? We have a two-party system. But there are valid reasons to consider supporting third-party candidates. One of those valid reasons is representation of diverse views. Because if you look closely at what Democrats are standing for, if you look closely at what Republicans are standing for, you will see so much overlap that it's ridiculous. They both are vastly becoming one uniparty. You got lifelong Republicans supporting Democrat Kamala Harris. You got both Republicans and Democrats staunchly against reparations. So what's the difference in the parties? Both parties are staunchly against Palestine. So what's the difference in the two parties? You need a third party to break this grip, this monopoly that they got going on. Both parties are staunchly against social programs that are in place that help people of all races and cultures in this country. The difference is the Republicans are playing the bad guy, the Republicans are playing bad cop, and the Democrats are playing good cop. The Republicans are 100% trying to totally eliminate everything, and the Democrats are more like, well, we don't want to eliminate it, but we'll allow the people to chip away at it till bit by bit, turning a blind eye till the bad guy sneaks away with all the good. Again, the idea is when you say you want to vote for a third party, they tell you you're going to waste your vote. But they do none of the things to ensure that a diverse platform of issues is being held intact. They want you to hold up your end of the bargain, but they will not hold up their end of the bargain. When it comes to environmental concerns, they let the pipeline fall to the wayside. They let healthcare during the Obama administration. Initial call from the American public was for total 100% free healthcare. The Republicans were 100% against that. The Democrats said, well, we can come up with a compromise and we can come up with a partially free healthcare system. And that's what Obamacare ended up becoming. So there's that compromise. You can have all kind of conversations about it's good to compromise, but at the end of the day, the request was for total optimum healthcare. Didn't get it. The request has always been in the Black community for 100% social justice. Have never gotten it. We get a little bit of it. We get crumbs of our requests from the Democrats, and we get the door slammed in our face from the Republicans. So if you really want to have a representation of diverse views, you're going to have to vote for a different party. You can't run from the Democrats and run to the Republicans because you're not going to get anywhere. If you want political reform, you need to support third-party candidates because they will help push the parties to adopt new ideas and policies. If third-party candidates gain traction, for instance, with the Green Party, there was a time when they couldn't get on the ballot in even half of the states. Now they're on the ballot in more than half of the states. Same thing with Cornel West and the Warrior Party. Even for this election, they were having problems getting on the ballot, but now they're on the ballot in 40-something states. That alone can help force the larger parties to broaden their platforms. If they want to maintain a two-party system, then they will have to allow these third-party platforms, these independent parties, gaining traction and having sway, almost like a swing state. These two major parties will have to let the third parties into the fold. This is what the Republicans did. Trump rode the wave to become an effective political force. He rode the wave of birtherism. He tied that to the wave of the Tea Party. They came in from the right and they threatened the Republican establishment. They threatened to basically collapse the Republican Party. And so in doing that, what the Republican Party said was, rather than lose our entire platform, because we're going to be cut into 3 separate parties, they said we need to break bread with each faction of these new political teams. They let the Tea Party move in and gave them positions of rank and authority. They let the Birther Party move in and gave them positions of rank and authority so that each of those sections of Republicans can remain in-house under one umbrella. This is what the Democrats will have to do if they want to maintain a two-party system. But they're only going to do it if the key factions under their umbrella are demanding so much attention that it must be done. And the only way to demand that much attention is to do what the Tea Party and the Birthers did. They said, we're going to leave the Republican Party. They said, we will work outside of the Republican machine and build our own platform. That is what threatened the Republican leadership to say, we can't allow that to happen. We have a two-party system. So if you want to maintain a two-party system, then the progressives in the Democratic Party will need to support, join one of the third parties, one of the independent parties, and give that so much of a strong push that the Democrats will be going bankrupt. Their house will be in foreclosure if they don't break bread with the rest of these other groups. And that's the purpose and point of building a third-party political movement. You cannot get a seat at the table if you simply allow yourself to wait. Third-party candidates often represent grassroots movements and can mobilize voters around specific issues. Even if they don't win, it didn't look like the Birthers were going to win the election. But the truth is the Republicans would not win without those Birther votes, without those Tea Party votes. So a third party is not always about winning the major election. It is literally about preventing one team from getting across the finish line. If you can prevent the other team from getting across the finish line, they're going to hand you the ball. So even if you don't win, you raise so much awareness that you create a foundation for future political change. That's what the Tea Party and the Birthers did in the Republican Party. That's what needs to happen in the Democratic Party if Black people as a voting bloc truly want to get their issues pushed across the finish line. And as long as we don't get our issues pushed across the finish line, we do suffer from dissatisfaction with major parties. Many voters feel disillusioned by these two major parties. So a vote for a third party can be a powerful form of protest against the status quo. Because when you look at it, most of the Black people who are saying don't vote for a Democrat, most of the Black people that are saying get off the Democratic plantation, all they are doing is expressing their dissatisfaction and frustration with the Democratic Party, which is well-founded. The only problem I see with that is rather than vote for a third party, which can truly create a powerful form of protest against the status quo, they are trying to convince us we should vote for the Republican Party. All I'm saying is you do not leave one plantation just to go to another one. You leave one plantation so that you can build your own strong independent thing, and you make it so strong that the plantation collapses. So again, the major reason to vote for a third party is simply to express your dissatisfaction and to force the lesser of two evils into playing ball with you on a fair and even playing field. Let's get this straight. A close election can be influenced by third party votes. So voting for a third party is never throwing your vote away. It's never a wasted vote. It is a very powerful vote. Swing states have been the deciding states in the past 3 or 4, if not more, elections. So if voters consistently choose candidates who align more closely with their values, it will force major parties to evolve and adapt rather than perpetuate a binary choice. That is exactly what the Republicans had to do. They were going to be a bankrupt party if they didn't play ball with the Birthers and the Tea Party. I'm not just making this up. For example, in 2016, Jill Stein and Gary Johnson drew votes away from both major parties. That sparked conversations about the need for electoral reform. You can find an analysis. One of the journals is American Political Science Review. Articles there discussing voter behavior patterns. I do have links to all of the sources that I have down below. The idea that voting for a third party is a throwaway vote, is a wasted vote, it is as poor an argument as get off the Democratic plantation and run to the Republican plantation. If all you want to do is be a slave, you might as well sit with the devil you know. So now we're going to move on to reparations. It's been denied since we got out those chains, and it's been denied by both Republicans and Democrats. There's no question about that. This is the biggest reason why I say running from one plantation to another plantation Ain't doing you no good. You are not actually protest voting. If you get off the Democratic plantation when you vote Republican, you out here puffing up your chest like, I stuck it to the Democrats. You feel like voting Republican means you showing them you won't be taken advantage of. You ain't showing them nothing but your ignorance. Leaving one plantation just to go to another one, you're not showing that you know what you're doing. Really, it's like, I don't want to sit on the left-hand side of the back of the bus. I want to sit on the right-hand side of the back of the bus. I'll show you. What is that? It's not getting you reparations. That's what it is. You're not gonna get reparations by leaving the Democratic Party and running on over there to the Republicans. That's a fact. They've been more antagonistic about the conversation of reparations than the Democrats have been. I don't give the Democrats a whole lot of credit for nothing, but I will say this. They've always said, we're open for a conversation. Always said, let's talk about it. Granted, the conversation won't last long. Granted, the conversation won't manifest up into anything. But having the conversation is way better than being told, keep your mouth shut, get out the office. You can't get blood from a turnip. So you cannot force the Republicans to give you something when they simply close their eyes, put their hands over their ears like there's some kind of see no evil, speak no evil monkey. Everyone that is pro-Republican likes to use Ronald Reagan as some type of model politician. Ronald Reagan told black politicians, don't come to my office. Ronald Reagan told black civil rights organizations, you are not welcome at the White House. He shut down all conversation about the black community, particularly reparations. In historical context, both Democrats and Republicans have stonewalled reparations. You saw a lot of Democrats saying it needs to be studied. Numerous studies, including from the United Nations and leading economists in the field, have already done the studies. So any politician, whether they're in the team blue or team red, any politician that says it needs to be studied, they pulling your leg right then and there. The only candidates that have said it needs to happen are third-party candidates. So again, Jill Stein with Dr. Butch Ware, Dr. Cornel West with Dr. Melina Abdullah, Claudia De La Cruz, and Karina Garcia have said reparations is owed. The Democrats don't say it's owed. The Republicans don't say it's owed. These three parties say it's owed. Cornel West himself has said not only is it owed, he said in his first 100 days, he will either direct Congress to approve the bill that gives it, or he will write the executive order that supersedes Congress. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel so that it becomes, I can't say law because it's an executive order and everybody knows an executive order is not the law. But what I will say, if you want to doubt the strength of an executive order, it was an executive order that gave us our freedom. The Emancipation Proclamation was an executive order. So you cannot tell me that an executive order doesn't carry weight. An executive order is what took the chains off. Dr. Cornel West said within the first 100 days of his administration, either Congress signs it or on day 100, if they haven't signed it, then either at the end of business on day 100 or on day 101, executive order is in effect. Reparations, the number one issue to create generational wealth and bring the black community up to par with where we would be, where we could have been, where we should be if all of the economic injustices and all of the social injustices during and after slavery had not been put into effect by the U.S. government. And I say it that way because the economists have already looked at it and said all of those factors are the reason we're stuck behind the 8 ball. And all of those things are the reasons we are in the shape that we are financially. So third-party candidates are the only ones saying, we recognize this as a justice issue, and we are going to fix it when we are in office. Democrats, and the Republicans are not saying that. So again, I do have links to all of the sources that I have down below. Democrats and the Republicans have been denying and rejecting everything on reparations. So again, to say, get off the Democratic plantation, for what? And all you want to do is run to the Republican plantation. The Republicans said no. The Republicans would not even allow a Democrat to bring H.R. 40 party to a vote. In 2000, there was a bill. I'm not even in favor of the bill because, as far as I'm concerned, the bill is repeating that which has already been done. But for those who want to make the argument that you need the bill first, the bill was up for vote, and the Republicans on the committee who decides whether or not it can go to the floor, those Republicans said, no, it can't come to the floor. You are not allowed to bring it to a vote. So a person saying vote Republican because they simply shut the door on whether or not people can vote on it. Don't tell me to leave the Democratic plantation and say vote for the party that said put that bill in the trash can. Republicans have consistently rejected the idea of even studying reparations. Many argued it was unnecessary or divisive. What bill is not divisive? The Republicans will say the most preposterous thing. They say even discussing the bill is divisive. Well, how much money did they send to Ukraine? That was divisive. Half of white America don't want that money going to Ukraine. They discussed it. Half of white America didn't want Roe v. Wade chipped away. They discussed it. So to say they cannot have a conversation about reparations because it's divisive. They cannot have a conversation because it's unnecessary. And you want me to leave the Democratic plantation and run to theirs? If you woke enough, if you knowledgeable enough, if you conscious enough to realize that the Democrats are not getting you what you want, you should be woke, conscious, and awake enough to realize that the Republicans are slapping you in the face about what you want. So that's just a little bit of the history, both Republicans and Democrats. Stonewalling, rejecting. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, he flat right opposed it. Mitch McConnell openly stated he was opposed to reparations for African Americans, claiming that the U.S. had already dealt with issues related to slavery through the Civil War, civil rights legislation, and electing Barack Obama as president. So you want me to leave the Democrats who have said reparations is something that needs to be talked about. The Republicans have said, y'all got y'all reparations when Barack Obama was elected. That's the party you want me to run to. That's not woke. That's not conscious. That's sleep. That's zombie. That's backwards. And McConnell, he was not a one-off. McConnell's stance reflected the broader Republican opposition and sentiment towards reparations. So again, there are black spokespersons, there are black leaders who know. They know about this long history of our fight for reparations. And they tell our people, nobody's been fighting for reparations. We've been fighting for it on all platforms, on all stages. So there's been lawyers who have set up committees and organizations and agencies and institutions. There have been grassroots organizations working independently and working with those lawyers. Malcolm X himself was working on an organization that was fighting for reparations at the United Nations. So the idea that nobody's been concerned, or nobody's been talking, or nobody's been moving the needle on reparations until 2020, when certain online influencer leaders who want to change the name of the black community from African or African American to all these other nonsense letters. It's preposterous. But I understand why they were able to do it. They were able to do it because the knowledge is not being passed down. Why is the knowledge not being passed down? Because we are not in control of our own curriculum in the school. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to turn on notifications. Leave a comment. Engage.